Hello students, welcome to all of you Shiksha 360. Today we discuss the chapter number 19, that is borrowings by non-resident Indian individuals. Very important topic, and definitely you will get 4 to 5 questions from this topic in the examination. So let's start. This is the part 1. So lending by the authorized dealers in Indian rupees to the NRIs. Clear? So that is basically in this topic we have to discuss regarding the lending to the non-resident individuals. Clear? Against the property or against the deposits. All these things we have to discuss and where they have to use the money. Clear? So lending for the own requirements or for the own business purposes. So an authorized dealer in India may grant INR loans, Indian rupee loans to the NRI against the security of the shares and other securities. Clear? An authorized dealer in India may grant Indian rupee loans to the NRI against the security of the shares and other securities or against the security of immovable property. Clear? Or against the security of the immovable property other than the agriculture or plantation land or farmhouse. Clear? Basically what they are mentioning in the immovable property, clear, or against the security of the immovable property under the immovable property, what we have not to include the agricultural or plantation land or farmhouse. So first one, basically where they have to use the money, the utilization of loans shall meet the provision specified. Further, loan proceeds cannot be used for any other activity where foreign investment it is not allowed. So this shall be applicable even if the loan is utilized in association with any other person, not directly, basically indirectly, even you are not able to use that. The loan amount further, that is, should not be remitted outside India or credited to the NRE, FCNR or NR account of the borrower. Clear? It should not be remitted outside India, and basically where it is to be credited, NRE, FCNRB or NR account of the borrower. The directives of RBI on such loans and directives on advances against the shares, securities, immovable property shall be duly complied with. Clear? So the directives of RBI on such loans and directives on advances against the shares, securities, immovable property shall be duly complied with. Fourth one, the repayment of loan should be either by the inward remittances from outside India or by debit to NRE, NRO, FCNRB, NRNR, NRSNR account of the borrower. Clear? So the repayment of loan, basically from where they will get the repayment, or out of the sale proceeds. Clear? Or out of the sale proceeds realized through the securities offered for the loan. Clear? Or out of the sale proceeds realized through the securities offered for the loan. Further, these loans can also be repaid. Clear? Further, these loans can also be repaid by any relative. Clear? Further, these loans can also be repaid by any relative of the borrower. Clear? By any relative of the borrower in India through account to account transfer. Clear? Through account to account transfer here. Next one, subject to enforced terms and conditions and with additional requirements like the compliance with applicable prudential norms of the RBI. Clear? Subject to enforced terms and conditions and with additional requirements like the compliance with applicable prudential norms of the RBI. Authorized dealers may also grant, clear, authorized dealers may also grant INR loans. Clear? Authorized dealers may also grant INR loans to the NRI for any other purpose. Clear? Basically for any other purpose, provided it is as per the board approval policy. Clear? Provided it is as per the board approval policy of the authorized dealer. Clear? Provided it is as per the board approval policy of the authorized dealer, and loan proceeds are not used for investment in the capital market. Clear? And loan proceeds are not used for investment in the capital market, including margin trading and derivatives. Clear? Including margin trading and derivatives here. Okay. Further, that is, repayment of the loan shall happen by the remittances from outside India or by debit to the NRE, FCNRB or NRO account. Okay. Very important. Kindly remember that. And loan proceeds are not used for the investment in the capital market, including the margin trading and the derivatives also. So land ESO employs stock option plan. So lending for the acquiring shares under the employees stock option plan. An authorized dealer in India may grant INR loans to the NRI employees of the Indian companies for acquiring the shares of the companies under the employee stock option scheme, subject to the following terms and conditions. First one, lending for ESOP scheme shall be as per the policy approved by the board of the authorized dealer and shall be subject to the capital market exposure of the RBI exposure norms of the RBI and the other prudential norms. So what is the maximum amount of the loan under that? The maximum loan amount should not exceed 90%. Basically, the loan amount should not exceed 90% of the purchase price of the shares, or maximum, that is INR 20 lakh per NRI employee, whichever is lower. Clear? Either 90% of the purchase price of the share or 20 lakh. Clear? Whichever is lower. Second one, the rate of interest and margin on such loans may be decided by the banks, subject to the directives issued by the RBI from time to time. The amount shall be paid directly to the company and should not be credited to the borrower's non-resident accounts in India. Clear? That amount shall be credited directly to the RBI. Oh, sorry, directly credited to the company. Fifth one, the loan amount shall be repaid by the way of inward remittances. Clear? The loan amount shall be repaid by the way of inward remittances from outside India or by debit to the NRO, NRE, FCNRB account of the borrower. Clear? Further, that is the loan account shall be repaid by the way of inward remittances from outside India or by debit to the NRO, NRE, FCNRB account of the borrower here. So next one, that is here lending for the ESOP, that is employee stock option plan. Next one, for the housing purpose. So lending in Indian rupees by an authorized dealer or a housing finance institution to NRI or person of Indian origin, basically for what? For the housing purpose. So an authorized or a housing finance institution in India approved by the National Housing Bank may provide housing loan to the NRI or PIO for acquisition of a residential accommodation in India. Clear? For acquisition of a residential accommodation in India, subject to the following terms and conditions. First one, the quantum of the loan, that is the amount of the loan, the margin money, and the period of repayment shall be at par with those applicable to the housing finance provided to a person resident in India. Second one, the loan amount shall not be credited to the NRE, FCNRB, or NRNR account of the borrower. Third one, the loan shall be fully secured by the equitable mortgage. Clear? Very, very important in the examination. Sometimes they will ask, basically, what type of the mortgage? That is equitable mortgage of the property proposed to be acquired, and if necessary, also by the lien on the borrower's other asset in India. Clear? So the loan shall be fully secured by the equitable mortgage of the property proposed to be acquired, and if necessary, also by the lien on the borrower's other asset in India. Fourth one, the installment of the loan, interest and other charges. Clear? The installment of the loan, interest and other charges, if any, shall be paid by the remittances from outside India. Clear? That shall be paid by the remittances from outside India or out of the funds in NRE, FCNRB, or NRNR, NRO, NRSR account of the borrower. Clear? Basically, from where they can get the repayment, or out of the rental income derived from renting out the property acquired or by any relative of the borrower in India by crediting the borrower's loan account through account to account transfer. Clear? Not cash, basically through the account to account transfer here. Further, that is the rate of interest of the loan shall conform to the directives issued, if any, by the RBI or by the National Housing Board. Okay. Next one, Indian rupee loans by the Indian body corporate to its NRI or PIO employees. Clear? So now here, that is the Indian body corporate, that the work to their working employees, that are NRI or PIO. So a body corporate registered or incorporated in India may grant rupee loan to its NRI or PIO employees, subject to the following terms and conditions. First one, the loan shall be granted only for the personal purposes, including the purchase of the housing property in India. Clear? Basically, for what the loan shall be granted, that is for the personal purposes, like purchase of the housing property. The loan shall be granted in accordance with the lender's staff welfare scheme or staff housing loan scheme, and other terms and condition is applicable to its staff resident in India. Further, that is the lender shall credit the amount, loan account amount to the borrower's NRO account or shall ensure credit to such account by specific indication on the payment instrument. Clear, the lender shall credit the loan amount to the borrower's NRO account or shall ensure credit to such account by specific indication on the payment instrument. Clear, by specific indication on the payment instrument. Fourth one, fifth one. The repayment of loans shall be made only by the way of remittances. Clear, the repayment shall be made only by the way of remittances from outside India or from the NRE, NRO, FCNRB account of the borrower and by no other source. Clear. So this condition shall be inbuilt in the loan agreement. Clear. So that condition shall be inbuilt in the loan agreement here. Next one, that is Indian rupee loans to the NRI by the resident individual. So a resident individual may grant the Indian rupee loans to the NRI relative by the way of cross-check electronic transfer subject to the following terms and conditions. Clear? So a resident individual may grant INR loan to a NRI relative. Clear? To a NRI relative. Clear? By the resident to the NRI relative. By the way of cross-check electronic transfer subject to the following terms and conditions. First one, the loan is free of interest and the minimum maturity of the loan it is to be 1 year. Clear? Basically, the loan it is of free of interest and the minimum maturity of the loan it is 1 year. The loan amount should be within the overall limit under the liberalized remittance scheme. Clear? Regarding the liberalized remittance scheme, that is maximum amount that is USD 2,50,000. Okay, per financial year available for a resident individual who shall ensure that the applicable limit it is not breached. The loan amount shall not be remitted outside India but shall be credited to the NRO account of the borrower. Clear? Why this loan it is interest free? That is one resident individual give to their relative. Clear? So repayment of the loan shall be made by the way of inward remittances from outside India or by debit to the NRO or by debit to the NRO, NRE, FCNRB account of the borrower or out of the sale proceeds. Clear? Or out of the sale proceeds of the shares or securities or immovable property against which such loan was granted. Clear? Or out of the sale proceeds of the shares or securities or immovable property against which such a loan was granted. Next one, that is borrowings by the non-resident individuals. So borrowings in India from the authorized dealer banks or authorized banks against the security of the funds. Clear? So borrowings in India from the authorized dealer banks or authorized banks against the security of the funds, against the security of the funds held in the non-resident external rupee deposit, term deposit. Clear? That is against the FD. So authorized dealer banks or authorized banks maintaining the non-resident term deposit accounts are permitted to grant loans in India in Indian rupees, subject to the usual margin and interest rate requirements. Clear? Subject to the usual margin and the interest rate requirements. So purpose. So basically for what purpose they are giving, that is for the personal purposes or for carrying on the business activities, except for the purpose of free lending or for carrying on the agricultural or plantation activities or investment in the real estate business. Clear? For these things, basically term loan against the term deposit, it is not allowed. Second one, making the direct investment in India or on non-repatriation basis by the way of contribution to the capital of the Indian firms or companies subject to compliance with the provisions of the foreign exchange management regulations 2000. Clear? This point it is very, very important. Clear? Basically for the personal purposes, that amount will not used for the relending or for carrying on the agriculture or plantation activities or for the investment in the real estate business. Third one, acquisition of a flat or house in India for his own residential use, subject to the provisions of the relevant regulations made under the FEMA 1999. Okay? So basically for these specific purposes, loan against the term deposit will be allowed. So what is the margin here? So a bank may determine the margin on a case-to-case basis. So charging interest, clear? What is the manner of charging interest? So when an advance is granted against a term deposit and the deposit stands in the name of, that is the borrower, either singly or jointly, or one of the partners. Clear? When advance is granted against a term deposit and the term deposit in the stand the name of either single or jointly, or one of the partners of a partnership firm, and the advance is made to the said firm. Third one, the proprietor of a proprietary concern and the advance is made to such concern. Clear, the proprietor of a proprietary concern and the advance is made to such a concern. Fourth one, a ward whose guardian is competent to borrow on behalf of the ward. Clear, a ward whose guardian is competent to borrow on behalf of the ward and where the advance is made to the guardian of the ward in such a capacity. Clear, so a ward whose guardian is competent to borrow on behalf of the ward and where the advance is made. Clear, and where the advance is made to the guardian of the ward in such a capacity. So the bank would be free to charge interest rate without reference to its base rate, including on advances granted against the NRE term deposit and repaid in the foreign currency or rupees. Clear? So here the bank would be free to charge interest rate without reference to its base rate. Clear? Very, very important. Including on advances granted against NRE term deposits and repaid in the foreign currency or rupees. Clear? And that is to be repaid in the foreign currency or rupees here. Okay. Last one here that is very, very important. If the term deposit against which an advance was granted is withdrawn before the completion of the prescribed minimum maturity period, so such an advance should not be treated as advance against the term deposit, and the interest should be charged as prescribed in the terms of the Reserve Bank of India directives on interest rate of advances issued from time to time. Clear? If that advance, basically that term deposit, it is taken or withdrawn before the maturity, minimum maturity period. So when advance is granted against the term deposit, which is not in the nature of those, that is as per the items which we have discussed. So above a bank would be charged free to charge interest rate without reference to the base rate, provided the advance is up to rupees 2 lakh. Clear? If the advance it is up to rupees 2 lakh, so the bank has the power to charge free, basically not any reference. Clear? To charge the interest rate. However, if the advance exceeds rupees 2 lakh, so bank should charge interest at the rate prescribed in the terms of Reserve Bank of India directives relating to the interest rate on advances issued from time to time. Okay. Further, that is a bank at its discretion may not apply the rate of interest as per the above in the case of advances up to rupees 3 lakh granted to a member or retired member of the bank staff. Clear? Granted to a member or retired member of to the bank staff or the spouse of a deceased member or retired member of the bank staff against their term deposit. Clear? Or the spouse of a deceased member. Clear? Or the spouse of a deceased member or retired member of the bank's staff against the term deposit. So the account holder of the NRA saving deposits can withdraw the saving deposit at any time, and therefore bank should not mark any type of the lien, direct or indirect, against such deposits. Clear? So these are the basic points regarding the advances to the NRIs. Clear? By the Indian individuals or by the Indian institutions. Okay. So in this session, we have to discuss up to this much point, and in the next session, I will take up with some new points regarding that. Questions regarding this topic are already shared in the group. So I request all of you kindly to practice all the questions. So thanks to all of you for joining this discussion.